Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. There's beautiful Ruth joining. Hi, Ruth. Welcome. So this is our third session in this series. And what really came to mind when I was sitting quietly before class was just how thankful I am, how grateful, deeply grateful that we all showed up for this kind of commitment, you know, Saturday to Saturday. And it is a commitment. You know, I was talking to somebody, I was walking with a girlfriend. Hey, Jim. Welcome. Hi, Jim. I was talking to a girlfriend and she said, well, who does that? Who has that kind of time and that commitment? I was like, well, a few of us. Well, there's Jan. Now we're all here, I think. Hi, beautiful Jan. So I was just expressing gratitude for those of you who just joined. I'm just deeply grateful. It's what bubbles up initially when I come into quiet and contemplation around this group, this online retreat that we have woven and created, and beautiful, beautiful. I'm so happy that we had the opportunity to be together like this for a series of Saturdays in January. Who would have thunk it? So let's sit quietly, as is our habit at the beginning, just to arrive. It's about arrival, really. A remembering, you might say, of the essential pointer of being as is, which is really the only pointer, and everything unfolds from there. So let's give it a go of being as is. The mind could be all heated up. You never know what we're all coming from and heading towards, and what's occurred in our day so far. I don't have a singing bowl here, so there'll be a timer at the end. The volume's up, the timer is set. Let's see if it all works. There's no beginning timer, so. Hmm. Wanted to begin today with just making sure my phone is off. I don't know if any of you have felt it, but the strong current of the strong thread and current that has been running through our retreat this month with Thich Nhat Hanh's passing and transitioning and continuing. And so, again, I don't have a printer down here, so I have to read off my phone. But just as an invocation and as also a dedication, I want to bring in a reading, something that he wrote. You know how sometimes you have a piece of writing that just stays with you through many phases of your life? And this is one of those for me. And also at fall retreat, for those of you who were there at fall retreat, I don't know, it was maybe the second or third day, and we read this in the morning, and then Jayashree put it to music and sang it for us, Call Me by My True Names. And it took on a whole nother, like, wow, illuminative quality. And since at our last meeting, we were celebrating his continuation and transmutation. He had just passed. And then today, 1 week later, is when they're having his funeral in Vietnam. So it's just been a very strong current through our retreat. So as an invocation and a dedication, I'd like to read this. Give me a second, guys. I'm texting everything to myself because I don't have a printer. Here it is. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow, for even now, today, I am still arriving. Look deeply. Every second, I am arriving. To be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am a mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I am a frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands, and I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm, it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the 4 oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and my pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up and the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. Thich Nhat Hanh. And it really, for me, in a beautiful, touching, moving, penetrating, transmissive way, speaks to the fullness of love, which is what I was hoping we could explore into today. We've looked into the spell. I'm going to use that word. I had an Indigenous person tell me this week that it is a spell, the belief in separation. It is a spell. And the belief in I'm not enough. It's a trance, it's a spell. And we looked into that together. And I'm sure we'll continue discovering and exploring into that as it spirals through the layers of our particularity and the collective. And we also explored into the ground of being, the unchangingness, the no thingness, the responsive immediacy, the presence, the present presence. And with the relinquishing of the spell, it's nothing more than a veil over consciousness of I am not good enough, and the discovery of that which is the fullness of love, the heart of matter. And I use the word matter intentionally, matter, the matter. The fullness in the heart of matter, the fullness of love unfolds. So that somebody can write in all sincerity, something like, I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power, and I am the man who has to pay his debt in blood, and I am the young girl being raped, and I am the pirate. All of my pain, all of my joy is the same. And the next line is, my joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom. That's the unfolding of universal love, uncaused love, uncaused joy, joy without cause. When separation and all the division of like, this is all the stuff we accept, and this is all the stuff of God, and this is all the stuff of, we can't accept, and all of that. When it all comes together as a cohesive whole, a coherent, harmonious wholeness, eternal wholeness, what blooms and unfolds and becomes in consciousness is love. Without cause, joy, so warm that it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. A radiance, a radiance without force. Luminosity that is uncreated. That's the fullness that we hear being spoken about in all of the great traditions fullness of being, the fullness of love. When we try to create that, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's what we do for a while. Then we're really always trying to be good and do good. And sometimes we get it, and sometimes we don't. Because it's not reality that it's all good. That's not reality. And so we live in this kind of soup of narration and categorization of our actions and everybody else's actions, and the events are, kind of put into the categories of more, I want more of that, I don't want that, good, bad, the whole thing. We all know it. We've all done it. We all live with an intellect and a judging function in consciousness. But as we return the attention, because see, the awareness and the love that is transcendent, let's say, of the coming and going, is not something that we can ever really return to, because we are never, ever distant or separate from it, ever. So it's really only the attention that we can return, give back to that which is. Because most of the time, some of the time, maybe none of the time, depending on who you are and what your phase is, the attention, I would say the collective attention, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I don't know about the individuals. The collective attention is given most of the time to the surface waves, the coming and goings. I mean, it's so fast and furious these days. It's like, scrolling. I mean, nothing's wrong with it, but it has a consequence. And it's not that we won't ever get caught in the attention being, I love Adya when he says, even I have Velcro thoughts. The attention gets Velcroed to the thought. There's some thoughts, some beliefs, some conditioning that's even pre-verbal, especially like when we start waking up down, 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 deep in the gut, deep in the unconscious, deep in the psyche. There will be some Velcro thoughts, some Velcro beliefs, some stuff we kind of have to puke up, see through, embrace, and love. But it's a giving. We can give our attention. That's the beauty of it. We have that function within our human beingness to move our attention. We can't grab awareness. We can't grab spirit. It's like water. When you try to grab it, where did it go? But we can rest our attention rest our attention in that which is, simply just by, it begins kind of as an allowing, and we've talked about different approaches for that, and there's many, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about assisting in helping somebody discover their own way of approaching, Velcro thoughts, beliefs. And simply resting as is. Everything arrives from and dissolves into love. It's the essence, the fundamental quality, it's beyond qualities. The fundamental essence of all it is. But when we are in an experience, when we're in an experience of positionality, a strong position, when we are in an experience of believing a position, it's very difficult, I want to say impossible, to have the orientation of transcendent, fundamental, essential love. Because, see, the position is part of that not realizing who we are, not understanding in that moment who we are. If we are moving from, with the belief in separation and what some people might call the ego, and moving from a core of defendedness, defending a position. We're defending the survival of our position. We all do it. It's just not real. And it moves us towards suffering a lot of the time. And rigid limitations. It's kind of almost like a roadblock to this wisdom of no thingness. I was Nisargadatta, and I know we talk about this. There's just such a dead-on quote. See if I can give it its due here. I look within, and I find nothing. And I call that wisdom. I look out, and I find everything. And I call that love. And between the two, my life revolves. It seems counterintuitive to give up what we perceive as everything ourselves, our history, our stories, to turn inward and go, wait a minute, where is that me? Where is that wizard behind the curtain? Uh-oh. No, nothing there. Not in that sense. Not in that sense of a solid me. You can't find it. And then from that, somehow, as the creative source and power of all begins to experience itself consciously, love blooms like flowers all over the earth, Thich Nhat Hanh says, in the pain, in the sorrow, as the suffering, as everything. I mean, this is a bit of a funny example, but I remember it from retreat with Adya, and he got a good laugh out of it. But he said, you know, when this started dawning for him, he was like, my God, and that's me too. Oh, and this is me too. And he went into the bathroom and he looked at the toilet. He was like, oh my God, I'm that as well. You can't separate it out. It falls away. And the experience of it is what we call love. Everythingness from nothingness. Love that gives birth to all those other loves that we have definitions for. First love, uncaused love, original, Genesis, let there be light love. The sun, you know, it's that one quote, I don't know who said it. Hafiz, maybe, I think. The sun is always shining. It never has ever asked for anything back. It's not a conditional sort of love. It just shines. That's what I'm talking about. Unconditioned, uncaused radiance that is. Our true nature. That's true nature. We're not even far from it, even in our worst possible. Oh, what did Barb and I call it when we had our discovery session this week? Personality tirade. Still, we don't get to claim that we are separate or bad or essentially anything but love. It's innocent. It's innocent in the sense of purity. Untouchable, unchangeable. It just can't happen. It just can't happen. We are what we are. And then this whole play of consciousness is there on the screen, on the movie screen, but the movie screen is not changed by the movie. It remains. It remains. It remains. It remains. And there's movement in a human heart. The human heart, the heart, towards lending oneself to greater and greater harmony. I like to draw cards. It's something I've been doing for many years. I know some of you do it and enjoy it. I don't have any real ideas around it, like a name for it other than maybe just a bridge. It kind of intercepts um, the mind, the intellect and the mind, and just it's like a direct access to deeper levels of being, deeper levels of being. And I drew 2 cards for our retreat and this group as we came into today's session. And one of them was innocence. I had forgotten that I put them over here so I wouldn't forget. I mean, because, you know, short-term memory is gone. Short-term memory is gone. But innocence. She tells us that we are worthy. She reminds us that we do not have to fear that we are not enough, and that there is nothing to hide or that can be hidden. Vulnerability is power. Especially when accompanied by an open, self-loving, and divinely trusting heart, which the heart is inherently and naturally open. So we don't have to work at that. We talk a lot about like opening the heart, and I know that that's an experience, but the heart is open. The mind and the intellect can be super closed, but the heart center, if it's not believing or listening or jumping up here, is immediate direction, right? We know it. We know it. My heart tells me so. And boy, can that ever look seriously irrational and frightening to the intellect. I don't know if any of you have been in that situation, but I certainly have. I have leapt many times. It's sort of been a style of living here on heart wisdom, and then the whole like logistics aspect of my life has to catch up, and all my relatives and other people who love me. Anyway, bless our hearts. We are bridging that in this new expression that's coming, right? This new expression of humanity. And some of you may have even felt this as the Kundalini has risen, or just as your awakenings and the spiral of that is deepening through the different layers of consciousness and the body. That expansion between the heart and the head, and also like the nerve plexuses between the two. The corpus callosum in the brain, the place that connects the two halves, that connects that bridges what looks like two into one. It's a bridge. So that the here and here are a cohesive, harmonious wholeness. So then we will no longer, I don't believe, have to talk about the heart and the head being separate. The intellect will be serving, and the awakened mind plus compassion is power. The Lama at the Tibetan temple where Jim and I were on retreat with Sharon Landreth, when I had a private meeting with him, I asked him about power. And that's what he told me, that in his experience, awakened mind, meaning no longer believing in separation, awake to one's true nature, and compassion are power. They equal power. Wholeness and fullness. It looks like miracles, but it's the reality. Because power, creative power transcendent of force, positions, moves the body, the entire body of existence instantaneously. It does not need time. It doesn't need time. Power is outside of time. It's in timelessness. I mean, we can all sort of feel that really poignantly right now, can't we? Because of everything that's changing so quickly. On so many different levels and facets of our daily existence. And you can almost feel the instantaneous, what Eckhart 20 years ago called the power of now. The nowness seeping in. It's like time is running out. And you can almost feel that way. And like if the intellect hears that and senses it, it's like the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, time is running out. Dreams and visions of apocalypse and all the rest. Because power is instantaneous. It's only ever right here and right now. It doesn't have history. It reverberates through history. You know, like when the head of a snake moves, the tail, you know, it's like, I'm not explaining it very well. Time is only ever right now, past, present, and future. Are reflected as this right now. This could never have come into being without everything that came before and everything that will come after. They're all the same in this moment right here. It's a hologram. It's a whole nother thing, but this fullness of love that Thich Nhat Hanh so beautifully writes about and lived and is living and still transmitting is not dependent on content. You know, it's not dependent on the content of daily events. It's the context for all that content. The other card I drew, I'm going to show you guys this one because I thought it was great. Hold on to me. Hold on, guys. Trust in divine, trust in source, because we're in for a wild ride. We're already on the wild ride. Trust in commune with. That's why I liked that quote from Trungpa that I put in the invitation for this session, because he used the word communicate. I like that. It's like it's born from the same root as communion. You know what it looks like to me in, oh boy, guys, power just went out. So we have, I think, 30 minutes. Oh, just came back on. It looks like holding hands. We're holding hands with our higher power, with the creative source. Communion, that kind of communication. Just, oh, here, give me your hand. Hold on to me. We do that for each other in these sessions. We do it for ourselves, and we are never not in communion and communication and togetherness with Source, Spirit. You know, whatever name, really, different phases have different words for it for me. The divine has really been coming through lately, the divine parent of all. There was a phase here where it was she who animates, Shakti Ma. She was. It comes in the way that it wisely, in the way that it will be recognized. Here I am. I like how Marge says, come, Holy Spirit, come, come. I've never used the word Holy Spirit, but I'm really, it's resonating. Come. And that, as we sense that in our individuality, it is a reflection, guys, of, guess what? The invitation of Source. When we say, come, 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 Holy Spirit, come, Divine One, come, that is Spirit calling us. The yearning and longing is one and the same. We reflect it. That's how it recognizes itself, is through the reflection. The yearning and the longing is Source seeking us, guaranteed. Innocence and hold on to me. Communion, simplicity, and resting our attention in that. And as I always hope for and encourage and invite both here as Jennifer, all of you, is gentleness, gentleness, gentle, 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 gentle. This is a gentle, what did it say in that reading? Vulnerability is power. So if we get scared, it's a time of great, the whole thing is shifting, right? You can feel it. The wheel of time and of karma or whatever, however it occurs to you, is turning. It's shifting. I remembered something. A memory came forward of I had great grandparents who were still alive when I was in my teenage years, just the way my family worked. So like their parents, whom I didn't know, my great grandparents, but are people who like, shook the hand of Abraham Lincoln. And I mean, it's a long time ago, that kind of thing, lived through the Civil War and all that. But I remember my great grandmother, Nellie, who built the house that I grew up in, telling me one time about all the changes she had seen over the course of her lifetime. She lived to be 96. And she was laughing at herself about how when electricity was first offered to her, she was like, no, not in this house. Not in this house. She knew it would change everything. It's on that level, right? That's what we're experiencing. It's a major shift. I mean, the internet alone changed everything. Look at the way, would we have envisioned this meeting in this way? But my great grand was, I mean, she didn't, I don't know, I don't have a distinct memory, but now in this moment, she's encouraging me to embrace what's coming, because it's coming. It's coming. It's here. It's now. We're shifting. We have shifted. Shiftingness is. But we're together and we're waking up. And the fullness of love is an actuality. It's a reality lived by many of us now. Where the opposites have collapsed. They've collapsed. And wholeness, eternal wholeness, is the perception, the orientation, the experience. It's no longer like reserved, right, for a few. Coming out of it's birth, Genesis, which very much is inclusive of what we call death. But that word never works for me because I can't see it. Transition, departure. We're a cohesive whole. We are one in the same. We don't know. We don't know if a caterpillar thinks it's going to die. It doesn't, it's not spinning circles around in the parking lot in angst of death. It usually just goes into the cocoon. So my guess is it's not thinking it's going to die. It has some other kind of intelligence beyond that. And the seed is the same way. I mean, I don't see that outer shell. I'm sure there's the word in biology for whatever that is of a seed panicking in its dissolution. Our intellect is a beautiful function, but it gets real conditioned. It's really, it also is the creative instrument of all time. I mean, wow. The belief lives on a certain frequency in our intellect, right? And when we're tuned to that frequency, tuned to that radio station, belief and limitation and lack, the perception is grim. It's grim. It's certainly not I am the woman who has been raped, and I'm also the pirate, and my joy and pain are one, and spring is blooming, glory, hallelujah. No, when we're tuned to that frequency, that perception is unavailable. When we're tuned to the frequency of belief in separation, isolation, lack, limitation, perception is, reality is reflective. It's reflective. It can be very grim. But the good news is we don't have to generate any of this. We discover it. We remember. It dawns. And Mary's email to me, everybody, thank you so much for your emails, and just beautiful. It struck me. I loved that. That's it. It strikes you. It dawns, right? It's not an intellectual problem-solving thing. It just kind of, oh, yeah, how did I miss that? Let me wrap up. What do I want to read something else. I want to read something at the end, but I also want to read something here at the end of my talk. Let me find it. Bear with me here. I'm going to read some couple of different things here. Just more illustration of this fullness. This is from Jack Kornfield's, it's the book with the pink lotus on it. The Heart of Awakening or something like that. Not sure. But he says, I remember when I first arrived at my teacher, Aja Cha monastery. He looked at me and said, well, I hope you're not afraid of suffering. And I replied, what do you mean? I came here to meditate and find inner peace and happiness. Well, he explained, there are two kinds of suffering. The suffering we run from because we are unwilling to face the truth of life, and the suffering that comes when we're willing to stop running from the sorrows and difficulties of the world. And the second kind of suffering will lead you to freedom and joy. It's crazy, isn't it? We can spend our whole lives running, grabbing. All we got to do is stop. Stop. Papa G's. famous pointer, stop. You know, I loved that. I thought that was similar to the Thich Nhat Hanh, not quite as poetic. We carry all the ingredients to turn existence into joy. Mix them, mix them, mix them. How did the rose ever open its heart and give to this world all its beauty? It felt the encouragement of light against its being. Otherwise, we all remain too frightened. The earth has disappeared from beneath my feet. It fled from all my ecstasy. Now, like a singing air creature, I feel the roads keep opening. What is the root of all these words? One thing, love. But a love so deep and sweet, it needs to express itself with scents, sounds, colors that never before existed. Let us be like a garden, or more than two. Let us be this group of falling stars in the day sky. Let no one know of our sublime beauty as we hold hands with God and burn into a sacred existence that defies, surpasses every description of joy and love. Hafiz. And it is so. Do you guys need a break before somebody comes on and talks besides me? Yeah, okay, Jill. I see your thumbs up. We'll take a little break. How about just go, come back, whatever that takes. 5 minutes? It's a beautiful ficus tree behind you, Diana. That ficus tree, pretty. Well, to begin with, I'll just open it to somebody who hasn't had a chance to speak if somebody would like to. But if not, that's always okay and not awkward at all. And then we'll just, I'm sure somebody will come forward. But anybody who hasn't had a chance to? Well, that's fine. Let's see. Does anybody want to share? Report, inquire, say hello. Yeah, hey, BZ. Are you looking at me like you're going to come on and say something?
I'm just laughing. Well, I can say something, but I was just laughing because I sure would love to hear from people. Anyway, I want to say, come
Comes when it
on,
comes.
come on, Jim, come on, Jan, come on, Sharon. Anyway, oh, what did you just say? That was so wonderful. The yearning and the longing is God seeking us. I love that. Love that. Um, And I remember when you were talking, beautiful. Thank you. So many beautiful pointers today. Thank you. I remember, and I think I might have said this before. I remember those, for me, they're aha moments, like when Sharon Landreth, when the some of the light was just starting to come through the conditioning and the beliefs. And I remember Sharon Landreth talking about there being beauty in life, even tragic beauty. And I remember just going, oh, just being really, that just really was one of those glimmers of when just to kind of for things to shift from there.
Mhm.
Opening, and the same kind of thing, starting to see non-duality, what non-duality and unity were. It didn't come in just in one big bang for me. It's been slowly permeating.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, so this morning, I had a personality tyrant yesterday. Oh, and it's wonderful to it's wonderful to be in it and not believe it and watch it unfold and watch it do its thing and kind of go through know what it's all about rather than before not having a clue and just kind of getting down into it even more and more and before there was more awareness here. And I was meditating this morning early, and I remember just being like right at that edge of
Mhm.
yeah, the edge of kind of the old world and the new world.
Mhm.
Um, boy, it's so hard to put into words. Let me see if I can. But so the old, almost like an old way of being that was dissolving, and a new way of being, and what was right in the middle of that gap, and the because it's like it's like time. It was like existing for the moment and time and being right here.
Exactly.
And it was like that, just really being in the moment of surrender and willingness, and really perceiving the other, the kind of the flip side of that, and but just really being really present right there, and just knowing, like the inquiry that I wrote all these things down, and I was just chuckling to myself because it's so easy to do those things when it's stillness, oneness, it's always available, it's always here. And life happens. And when life happens, and things happen that kind of that immediate response is no, it's not going to go this way, it's going to go this way. when the I'm large and in charge steps in, it's like no, no. And so just really being in that moment, and I remember just really backing away and asking for assistance. And like you said, the Holy Spirit is really big for me right now. And ancestors and guides, angels, and being willing and trusting, and just being with the availability of help, and then surrender and willingness. And it's just it always amazes me when I can go here rather than be here, when I can in an instant can be there. It makes me chuckle when I can see the simplicity and and then the instant of it. There's almost a distrust for that kind of creeps in and goes, it won't happen. You can be willing, you can surrender, but it might not happen. And then all of a
You're calling
sudden,
bullshit.
right, right. And then all of a sudden, and it's never what I think is going to happen either. Probably never what I think is going to happen. And then all of a sudden, the creative potentiality pops in, and things just, like an idea will fly in, or that, like, I'll pick up my phone and I'll intend to call somebody, and I'm calling, like, I was this morning, I was calling Costa Rica, and I was like, what the fuck? How did that happen? Just those kinds of things are just always really blow me away. Yeah. So.
And all of that, right? All of that. And you didn't, I mean, I can't remember the words you said, but the still point of no thingness. Yeah.
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 The origination point, if you want to call it that, the complete and absolute still, silent ground from and as which the whole dance arises.
The whole dance arises.
It's on that tip of the needle. The razor's edge, whatever you want to, however it sense. It's that T.S. Eliot. I won't be able to. At the still point, there is no dance. And if it weren't for the still point, there would be no dance. I mean, it's a paradox, right? It's completely still, silent, no qualities, no attributes, and all that beauty that you just described, all that dimensional spiral being and existing, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's what you were saying, but
yeah, it's really hard to put into words. It's funny, a lot of times I get done speaking and I think, boy, I hope that made sense to somebody, because it sure as hell didn't make any sense to me.
Well, we're building a new language, guys. I mean, and it's it's a good thing to keep that in mind, because as it transmutes and transforms, we're going to have to probably amend our, right now, a lot of the time it feels like we're trying to use words that sort of describe, we're never going to ever describe reality. We're never going to language reality. It's a complete impossibility, because words are conceptions and reality is not a concept. It's not a concept. There's more reality in a blade of grass than anything we can ever say about a blade of grass. We can't, but we might be getting closer, or coming up with, and we also get real embedded, entrenched in certain languages, and then it starts creating this little bubble of spiritual intellectualizing, that I'm hoping we will always do our best to recognize and hopefully bust out of. You can start reading Well, it's like the algorithms on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you know. I mean, you enter into one of the bubbles, and then the more that you look at that bubble, the more things that sound exactly like that start feeding into your feed. And then it's just like the same words, the same. And what words once meant to describe an experience, like awakened consciousness, just start sounding like, you know, whatever. So I get the languaging thing. I mean, trust me, I get that. I think to deeply remember, and what you're bringing forward is that it's ineffable by nature and not inconceivable. So we're doing our best. You know, I mean, some people are just magicians at it, right? Thich Nhat Hanh, or these lovely, lovely human beings that can write. Well, some of you are amazing writers that can really come close, but and some people are amazing wordsmiths. I mean, even to this day, after listening to Adya for however many years and going to retreats and, you know, doing the whole thing, I mean, boy, does he nail it. Just right there. So that's just part of it. We're learning how to talk about it. Because, I mean, did we all talk about it even 20 years ago? I don't know. I mean, it was the best we came, the closest we came was woo woo, which whatever that was. I mean, I don't know. People always used to say that, oh, that's too woo woo. Like, you know, so we've come a long way. Anyway, I was trying to find that T.S. Eliot thing. It just felt like it was completely describing what you were saying. And I thought that I had that close to me at all times. Here it is. At the still point of the turning world, neither flesh nor fleshless, neither from nor towards, there the dance is. But neither arrest nor movement, and do not call it fixity, where past and future are gathered. Neither movement from nor towards, neither ascent nor decline, except for the point, the still point. There would be no dance, and there is only the dance. Gorgeous. God, I've read it a million times. I still just perfectly descriptive of the experience here anyway. God bless those people. Thank you, Barb. I get it.
Thanks, Jen.
Did you have anything else? Okay. Jim, hey. Hey, my friend. Oh.
Does that work?
Can
you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, and now we can see you. Oh, hey, wait. Maybe this will work. Just hang on one sec. There.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. I've never used my phone before, so I'm not in a cave quite so much. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Barb. Everyone. I spent 6 hours yesterday on my healer's table here in Bend, and I'm just kind of stunned today with the experience of going back to I would say childhood experiences that were less than nourishing. And what this is just a little bit of part of it. I'm it's not really clear to me yet, but I'm just sitting with this newness, and I feel like I'm the caterpillar trying to make some structure. And the questions were, two of them were, have you forgiven yourself for being a small, vulnerable child?
Mm.
And it never, ever occurred to me that that was there.
Beautiful.
Wow. And so the next question is, have you forgiven yourself for not forgiving yourself for being a small, vulnerable child? Whoa.
Whoa.
And the long and short of it was that small, vulnerable child is part of you still here. Let it lead you.
Gorgeous.
Let it lead you. It's like, huh? But I get it that that's the one level of the original innocence, the original being,
Yes.
the pure oneness, and well, that says it, oneness.
Yeah.
Let that lead you. Let that part. And I see, well, I get all tingly all over now, but I see how I made myself separate from that because of the pain and the. I should have known that when I was 7.
Aw.
And that is about from, I'll tell you later, a little bit more relationship research I did.
Okay.
And I kept saying to myself, unconscious, not so much unconsciously, but later, I should have seen that coming. Relates right back to when I was 7. I should have seen that coming. Neither one are true.
Neither one are true.
Neither one are true. And, but as a survival technique of making myself wrong so that I can stay connected with my source, been carrying that around. And it's like, oh, that's the innocence. That
beautiful. Yes.
And I think I've talked to you about this one event that this rotates around.
Yeah.
Is like, here's the still pond, the still lake of innocence before that event, and then the flow of the river out hits this rock, and the river's been doing that for since then. But now it's like, oh, that original still quiet innocence. Oh,
and
that they do.
That is, it feels like it's before, but it's outside of time and space. It isn't part of the horizontal expression. Yes. It's outside of that. It never was anything but what it is, ever.
Yeah. It became horizontal at that moment.
Before, it's a perceptual thing.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm just kind of stunned, kind of sitting around, walking around going, blue sky, beautiful. Okay.
It's amazing to touch that, right? To touch that original innocence, that original purity, and realize that it is home.
Yeah.
Home has never gone anywhere. It's like we left home and walked around for a little bit.
Yep. We told the story. Just travel.
Exactly. The story walked around for a little bit.
Yeah.
We were always home. We've never left home. Home is there. And home is just what you said, beautifully. It's clear, vast, original, innocent. In a sense.
Yeah.
And beautiful. And see, there's the vulnerability is power, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the vulnerability to forgive and then to forgive the unforgiving. And it takes a lot of vulnerability, a lot of presence. And then that which has never been moved.
Yeah.
Shines forth.
Yeah.
Powerfully. Wow. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you. So that's the long and short of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so I feel like today, like I'm just sitting with that lack of separation, or lack of judgment, or story of forgiveness. It's like, what? Okay, Byron Katie, what am I without all those thoughts and concepts and decisions I made back then? And I'm not really thinking about it. It's just kind of like being there and okay. Well,
Being as is.
yeah. See what happens.
Yeah, being as is.
Yeah.
The narrative can be kind of fun and interesting. It's a certain station on the radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's entertainment, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big, I'm sorry to say that. Maybe that sounds kind of, I know it can hurt like hell. I mean, I'm not, I get it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a class B spaghetti Western at best.
It is.
But yeah, it's what it takes.
Yeah. And it's beautiful.
It is.
Gorgeous. The rose is unfolding. I mean, flowers are bloom. It's the blooming of consciousness. It's the blooming of let there be light. It is the reflection. It is the eye of the eye. It's the way, if you want to call it that, to self, capital S, recognition.
Yeah.
And here you are. So, amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's Jim. Beautiful. Loving that. Innocence. The innocence, the innocence.
Yeah.
Humility, simplicity, sincerity that is transcendent of our narrative, our story, our history, which is, there's nothing wrong with it. We don't have to push it away and give it really evil names like ego and then try and get rid of it all of our lives. Oh, but not the truth. It's not the truth of our nature. The overlay. I want to share something at the end, but I think we have time for one more person, one more sharing. If somebody is wanting to come forward, has something to say, share, deliver. Hey, Mary. Here, let me ask you. Maybe that helped. Oh, you got it.
I just thank you for everything you said earlier. And one of the points that's swirling around in my head and will continue is the idea of, I think somebody defined it as power, the awakened mind plus the compassion. And it makes me think about, often I feel like I need to get out of my head and into my heart, but that actually it's the integration of the both is what you're saying. Is that right?
Yeah. And I'm using the word mind differently in that case. Like, sometimes I'll say intellect to try and kind of clarify, or the narrator, You know,
Right.
there's like different, I'm going to use this example again because it keeps coming forward today, but there's, you know, different frequencies in that, you know, let's think it's a radio and we're tuning into different stations, right? There's different frequencies in the mind for sure, you know. And I mean, there's the whole house of history and memory and blah, blah, blah. And then there's narration, and then there's a super critic and judge. And then there's, you know, I mean, on and on and on. There's the station of like, oh, I just have to like get some stuff done. So I need to stay on track right now with my intellect of like getting to the plane on time, blah, blah, blah. There's different aspects, facets of it. The awakened mind, the way I'm speaking of it, is the faculty, the expression in consciousness where separation has dissolved, the opposites have dissolved. The narrator and that aspect of the senses going out and then returning and then giving information to a central processor that then decides what something is gone. It's awakened to reality.
It's what you were saying. The other quote was about the looking within for the nothingness and looking at. So it's that.
It's the recognition of that. Yep. Yep. Exactly. And you know, it can bring up a lot of fear about losing one's mind when you start feeling it circling the drain. And you know, I'm not the best case scenario for that fear because you know my story with that. I mean, I did actually lose the ability to sort of function intellectually but just for a little bit, you know, and not everyone does. The intellect remains and sometimes comes back, you might say, because sometimes it is kind of blown. When we say it blew my mind, or I was blinded by that light, or what those are actually coming close to at least my experience. Maybe not everybody. It comes back and it's in service then. It's not believed as the fundamental doer of deeds and thinker of thoughts, as Hawkins would say. There's a no-thingness that pervades, as you were speaking about in your beautiful email, that is the context, the foreground. And then the stations are, you know, where we put our attention and all of that. It's awakened up and out of me-ness. And the realization has dawned that there is no me. There is no me. That's that again, still point, or what keeps coming around between the no-thingness interior and the exterior of everything existing from love. Exactly. Right? So there shouldn't be the, you know, decider in between those things. It's just those two, right? Yeah. Yeah. But you know, I don't know about shouldn't be, because it is. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. And we're not really the creators of reality. So you know, everything, there's a time and a purpose under heaven and all of that. But eventually the interior exterior feel of it is no longer a reality. It's no longer a reality. Like he says in the quote, it just, consciousness just moves between these two, wisdom and love, you know, it turns. Yeah, so the interior, exterior, all of that division that is perceived begins to drain out of experience. And wholeness eternal wholeness begins to dawn. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful inquiry. Love, 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 love it. Go with it. Go with it. You're onto it. I'm gonna go ahead and read something now. Before I do, I want to say again, the sun's starting to really come in here. Namaste and deep gratitude and love and profound appreciation for this communion, this gathering, this commitment, this devotion, this Sangha togetherness, this reflection of eternal wholeness. Really, I'm deeply appreciative and grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This session and another, I decided to throw in another guided meditation because something occurred to me, and just another inquiry if anybody's into it, because you could always still email me, and we'll be meeting as a group again for a deep dive somewhere down the line if somebody wants to explore it as a group. So it's like Thich Nhat Hanh said, I'm always arriving, even though it looks like we're departing. We're always arriving. We're always together. We're whole. We're holding hands. We're in communion. I wanted to end with Hafiz and joy, just because the fullness of being is so joyful. The fullness of love is just indescribable joy, much to the intellect's, the intellect wants to judge it for sure, because how can you be so freaking happy and, excited and enthusiastic and everything when, well, we'll save that for another time. But through events, life events, husbands having heart attacks and stuff. Hafiz. I speak because every cell in this body is reaching out for God. If you think I'm having more fun than anyone on this planet, you are absolutely correct, but Hafiz is willing to share all the secrets on how to befriend God. If the falling of a hoof ever rings the temple bell, if a lonely man's final scream before he hangs himself, and the nightingale's perfect lyrics of happiness all become an equal cause to dance, then the sun has at last parted its curtain before you. God has stopped playing child games with your mind and dragged you backstage by the hair, shown to you the only possible reason for this bizarre and spectacular existence. Go running through the streets, creating divine chaos. Make everyone in yourself ecstatically mad. For the friend's beautiful open arms go running through this world, giving love, giving love, giving love. Hafiz. Yeah, it's all love. I love you guys. Stay in touch. The online retreat website will still be open, and I'm open to emails and through next week, and then I'll be in retreat. I love you. Love you. I love you. I love you. Beautiful, beautiful being. Beautiful. Have a gorgeous evening. Safe travels to all of you getting ready to travel on planes or possibly within your own consciousness. I feel it coming.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Barb. I love you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Thank you. Wish you well.